Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Our presenter today is Lakshmi Sankaran from Marga Systems. And Lakshmi, I do apologize if I didn't pronounce the last name correctly, but I tried my best. Our topic today is to migrate or not to migrate. And just a reminder to everyone that your attendance today in this webinar enters you in for the trip to Connect to 2014 down in Orlando. So that is courtesy of the presenters. The companies will be presenting webinars during October, November, and first part of December. So that is how this is brought about, and Notes Code is happy to put this all together for them. We do appreciate your time, and we know that it is limited. So without further ado, I'm going to switch the presentation over to Lakshmi. If you do have questions and would like to have some question and answers at the end of the session, just simply type your questions into the questions area in your GoToWebinar panel, and then I will read those to Lakshmi at the end of her presentation. And just an FYI, we are recording this webinar so that if you want to share it with your colleagues or other people in your organization, you certainly are welcome to do that. Okay, Lakshmi, I'm going to change the screen over to you.
Okay.
And I will let you know as soon as I see your screen.
Yeah.
I see it, but your taskbar is hiding the bottom part of your presentation.
Yeah, 1 second.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Scott, for that brief introduction. And I once again welcome all the participants who are here for the webinar. So let's just get this started by having a brief introduction about the company that I'm currently associated with. So I'm working for Marga Systems. We are a premium IBM partner. We have been working on Expages technology and pioneering in that. We also involved in developing mobile applications and other workflow applications. We have presence in India, US, and we have partners in the Middle East and Germany. That's a brief intro about Marga Systems. And okay, sorry, there's a small technical problem here. Okay, about me, I'm Lakshmi Sankaran, working as a project lead in Marga Systems. I have over 9+ years of experience, predominantly in the IBM Lotus Domino space, and I've been handling a lot of Expages projects over the past 2.5 to 3 years that I've been associated here. What you see on the right side is the white paper on how to turn Lotus Domino applications into mobile. What are the 9 things that you should do? This is a white paper that I've authored quite some time back. If you want to have a look, you can go to the bit.ly link that is displayed on the slide. And what you see now is the latest infographic that is released just today. It's on IBM Connections 4.5. It just gives you, on a glance, what are the different features of Connections 4.5 and the enterprise social business and etc. So you can see the download link here. It is available free for download. And you can go to our website and follow the bit.ly link and have a look at the latest infographic, which is just released today. Okay. So with this brief introductions, let us just get into the agenda for today's webinar. So we are going to talk about the migration, both from a mail perspective and also from the applications perspective. I'll be concentrating more on the application side, and we will have a brief, I'll touch upon, and we'll have a brief overview about the mail migration also. But what I'll be concentrating more on is from the Domino applications perspective. What are the things that you need to take care, if you're planning to migrate your mails, and if you want to keep your applications on Domino or migrate out of Domino, etc. Before we actually get into this session, I would like to have a poll conducted. So I would request Scott to have the poll conducted, please.
Okay, I'm going to start the first poll. And the first poll is, what is your Lotus Notes mail migration plan? Have you already migrated, planning to migrate in the next 6 months, or no plans of migration at this time?
Yeah, this is just to get an understanding of what is the kind of audience that is currently present here. We would like to know if the migration is already planned, or there may be some organizations wherein there is a strategy which is already in place, or some which have already migrated. So the idea of the poll is just to get an idea of where the audience currently stand.
All right, perfect.
I'm just waiting to see the results.
Okay, I'm going to share the results.
Okay, 44% no plans, and remaining 11% is already migrated. Good.
Okay.
And 44 is there is a plan in the next 6 months. So this is a webinar that you guys have to attend. I hope you get the best out of this.
All right. Back to you then.
Yeah, there's a next poll also. If you can run that also again, so
okay.
That would be good. Poll number 2.
Poll number 2, here we go. I'm going to launch this one. So the question is, which is your targeted platform for mail migration? So whether we're migrating to Google, Microsoft, the IBM Smart Cloud, another private cloud, or no plans of migration. And we're up to almost 80% of us voting, so give us a couple more seconds here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to close this and display the results.
Yes, as expected. Google and Office 365 is having the major share. Good. IBM Smart Cloud also has a place there, and some are also moving to private cloud. Okay. So for those of you who are planning to just migrate the email, you will find the next three to four slides a little useful on know what you need to do when you have to migrate your email to another targeted platform like a Google or a Microsoft Office 365 or any other cloud platforms. So first of all, before you plan to migrate your Domino infrastructure, you need to understand what exactly is the current infrastructure comprised of. By analyzing the usage, what I mean is you need to have a clear understanding of the number of users and what is the kind of usage that is there, their mailbox size, etc., and document them so that you can have a clear plan in place when you actually migrate. You also need to take a note on who are the key or the power users so that you can keep them well informed during the migration process so as to ensure that there will not be any disruption to them. Because the power users, any amount of disruption will majorly impact their business. So we need to take them into account and make sure that we have alternate plans in place when we plan for the migration. And also the Domino, as we know, like it integrates with some of the other third-party tools, or like there can be some widgets which are working in conjunction with these Domino email. So we need to know what are the third-party integrations or third-party tools that are currently being integrated with Domino and take a note of them. And also the notes of Domino-specific features like the mail rules or the encryption that is currently being followed by different users, and what are the other Domino-specific features that are currently being present. Last but not the least, we also need to know what are the other components, Lotus components that we know that the organization is currently using. Like it can be a same time, or it can be a quicker, and what are the it can be a Lotus Traveler. So we need to have we need to have the strategies to migrate these platforms. Also, if you are going to consider migration of these elements too. So having done an analysis, we need to have a clear documentation of the current infrastructure. This will help in a great deal when we are sizing the deployment considerations in the target platform. Like knowing the number of users will help in appropriately getting the, if you're planning to migrate to an Exchange or Office 365, like how many servers are required, and those kind of things can be taken care of well if we have a good understanding of the current infrastructure. Once we have a good understanding, we can plan for a migration. We can plan what needs to be done before we actually start executing it. The most important part is consolidation. So wherein we need to consolidate the number of Domino servers that are currently there and the number of internet domains. So these needs to be taken care of when you're migrating to the other targeted platform. And the other important factor that you need to be taken care is the coexistence. What it means is that, during the transition phase, the emails on both the platforms need to be working and they have to coexist with each other so as to ensure that there is a trouble-free transition to the targeted platform when you go live. So, for example, what is to be handled in the coexistence is the mail or the SMTP routing. By mail routing, what I mean is it should be possible to send and receive mails from both the platforms. From Domino, I should be able to send emails to the targeted platform, which can be a Google or a Microsoft Office 365, and vice versa. Also, the SMTP routing should also be taken care. For example, if you consider some third-party tools like Track, which is used for bug tracking, it will be programmed in such a way that the mailings will be done using Domino SMTP. So when we are migrating to the target platform, we should be able to verify this also. We should be able to verify that targeted platform is also compatible with this third-party tools. So these two things need to coexist with each other so that we can validate these during the pilot phase and ensure there is a smooth and clear transition when we migrate to the targeted platform. And similar to mail and SMTP routing, users should be able to do a free or busy lookup for their calendars, and they should also be able to have a directory sync. Users in Microsoft or Google should be able to check the users present in the directory in the Domino site and vice versa. So this coexistence is very crucial when you're planning the migration. So once we have a plan in place, then we need to go for the execution phase, wherein we need to have a phased migration strategy. What I mean by phased is there has to be a pilot phase wherein this migration is tested out in a very closed environment, in a very targeted environment, so that we can be doubly sure that when we are rolling out the migration to the whole organization, the success is guaranteed. So when we actually start executing the migration, it can be done in a group-wise manner. So we can plan to migrate the Domino emails to a specific department or a specific location, and then progress it towards different other departments and different other locations before it is globally rolled out. So this way we are we are reducing the risks, and we are ensuring that every location or every department is successfully and smoothly migrated to the new platform. So once the mail migration is done, it requires a continuous monitoring. So if you see here, there has to be a clear roadmap to sustain and maintain the migration that has been carried out. So first and foremost, there has to be a communication. There has to be a continuous and clear communication to the users on what actually is happening, what can they expect, what they cannot expect, and continuously make them aware of the new environment. Because if it's an Office 365 or a Google Cloud email, so they need to be educated about the new environment, about its usage, features, etc., so that they don't get any surprises when it is actually rolled out. Also, we have to continuously monitor the mail flows and the message format, because Domino, the message format may be different. It can support tables, it can support a lot of formatted content, whereas the target platform may not exactly cover the same kind of format that Domino used to support. So these kind of things need to be on the continuous watch so that users are appropriately informed and handled if there is a query coming from the user. Last but not the least, all these learnings should be documented so that people coming later can use these learnings and improvise them during the course of this migration. So I don't want to elaborate more on this mail migration because that itself is a major topic. So with this background in place, I'd like to shift the focus more on the application perspective. So what will happen to the Domino applications if you plan to migrate? If you plan to migrate your emails to cloud. So whether you can have your applications in Domino or whether you also need to migrate your applications onto other platforms. So we will be dealing more in detail about these things, and we will have a stop at the mail migration part as such. Before we actually get into this, I would like to have a third poll conducted just to have an idea of like people who have already migrated, what are they doing currently with their Domino applications. People who have already migrated their emails, what's the status of the current Domino applications. Scott, can you just have the poll conducted, please?
Yes, here we go. The poll is launching. So what is your migration strategy for Domino applications? Stay with Domino. Planning to migrate in the next 6 months or potentially in the next year. Maybe extend that out a little bit. Or you're currently in the process of migrating now.
Yeah. So even for the organizations which are planning to migrate in the next 6 months, they email. So the next, the coming slides will give a great in-depth on what can the applications be like, whether they need to be migrated or if at all if they want to retain their applications with Domino, what they should expect for. So.
Right. Okay. I'm going to close the poll and share it.
Stay with Domino. As expected, I think stay with Domino is a much safer option, and most of the audience is also planning to go with that only. However, there are still 46% which is planning to migrate. So I'm very much interested in knowing like what is the strategy and what is the platform that they are targeting. Very good.
Perfect.
People are ready to take that plunge. Okay, so the session today would be more focused on what to do with the applications by continuing to have the applications in Domino. So the audience, I think, would benefit greatly from this. For those of you who are planning to migrate also, you can get to know of what are the pros and cons of migrating the applications from Domino to another platform. And if you can think of having the applications in Domino itself, that is also a very good idea. Okay, coming back to the Domino apps migration. So there are a lot of things that we need to understand when we are planning to migrate our Domino apps or when you're planning to retain our apps. First of all, we should know what are the options that are available in front of us, and with each option, what are the risks and effects, because each has its own pros and cons. We need to weigh them before we actually take an informed decision. And when we are retaining the apps in the Domino, there are some key considerations and process, and has some bit of processes that needs to be followed so as to make sure that the email migration is a success, and also apps do not get disturbed in the process of that email migration. The coming slides will deal in detail about these aspects. So Domino apps migration. So we are left with two options. One is to migrate apps to another platform, and the other is continuing to stay with Domino for applications even though email gets migrated out of Domino. But if you're planning to migrate your apps out of Domino, then you can consider the target environment as a SharePoint or the Google Apps. However, it's a little time consuming, and there's a lot of effort and time that has to be spent if you're planning to migrate, because we need to consider each and every app that is written in Domino and that needs to be available in the targeted platform. So you have to think of various aspects of the applications like a security, that workflow, and make sure things are migrated properly, which is a very time consuming, and it requires a lot of effort again. So there can be risks also, because we don't know unless we actually attempt it whether applications are properly migrated or not. So the success, it's very difficult to determine the success unless we actually attempt it. So what I would say, migrating apps to different platform is still a possibility, but with a lot of time and effort and with a lot of risk involved in it. Whereas on the other hand, if you take the other option where you choose to continue with Domino for your applications, but emails are moved out of Domino. That's a more safe options that I would say, because the applications are untouched, so you know that most of the applications would be working fine because you're not going to change the functionality, you're not going to change any part of the code except a few of them, like where the emails are interfaced. That is, those are the areas where you need to focus on, so as to make sure that the Domino applications will also work with emails on other platforms. Okay, let's see what are the risks involved when attempting to migrate the Domino applications. First and foremost, if you have to migrate it to a Google or SharePoint, then there is a pain point, because Domino applications, as we know, are well known for their workflows, well known for their complex workflows, well known for their security. So all of these things, each and every intricate thing needs to be taken care in the target platform. So that's the effect. So another thing is, if the application migration fails, as I said, only when you actually attempt, you will know if the application is successful or the migration is failing. In that case, then we need to have both the platforms coexist with each other, which means that there will be an additional cost in managing the Domino application licenses and so on and so forth. This may hit upon the cost and the budget of the IT. Another thing is, like, if a migration has to succeed, then the end user who is actually using that application needs to get adopted and needs to accept the new transformed application. So in most of these cases, this requires an extensive support and extensive feedback and coordination from the end users or the business users who will be actually using that application. So having the user adoption is also one of the major concerns when we are thinking of migrating applications from the Domino. So let's see how these risks can be handled if we are planning to continue with Domino on the application side. All these migration constraints, like how to migrate my workflow, how to migrate my security, and how to take care of ACL, all these things are very well handled, because when we are planning to choose Domino as the platform for applications, because applications are untouched and the native Domino features and notes features will still be working. The only thing that we need to take care is emails that are sent out to the new platform are working without any issues. So we seem to address this migration constraints when we are choosing Domino as a targeted platform. So, and the other risk that I was talking about in the previous slide was about additional instances needing to maintain systems both on the targeted platform, new platform, and also on the Domino platform. Actually, we can, if licenses are the major constraint, we can still get rid of client licenses by web enabling the applications. By web enabling, we can reduce the number of client licenses that we need to maintain, and we can also migrate apps to X pages. So, and moving all the applications to a XWorks or utility server will give you a great advantage in reducing the number of licenses or client licenses that you need to maintain. And the other risk that I was talking about is the user experience and adoption of how people will react and adopt to the new and transformed applications. So this we can mitigate, and we can drive better user experience by moving the applications to web and using X pages as a mode of developmental technique. And with that, we can adopt latest Web 2.0 standards, by which we can have a great user experience and let users quickly adopt to the new applications. So we can also mobile enable applications, which will have more popularity among the general public, so that a better user experience and adoption is driven. So now we have seen that how these risks can be mitigated if we are choosing to stay with Domino for all the applications, the kind of risk that we saw when the applications are migrated to a new platform. So these things can be easily addressed if we choose to stay with Domino itself. proceeding with the next set of topics. So what are the key considerations if you're, now we will be shifting our focus more towards I'm choosing to have my applications in Domino, but my emails will be migrated to the new platform. With this context in mind, we will browse through the next set of slides. So that will be your focus. So from now on, we'll be focusing on what we have to do with the applications after choosing to have them on Domino itself. So there are these key considerations that always need to be taken care of, or we should always have at the back of the mind when we are migrating or when we are working with these applications. There has to be a proper end user training, in the sense like the new once the emails are migrated, the applications may or may not have the same set of features, or may not behave the same way that it used to behave in the traditional notes client or a traditional notes web. So these kind of things need to be identified, and there has to be a proper training and handholding given to the end users so that there are no surprises for them, or they are well aware of what is going to happen when the applications, what will happen to their applications that they have been using for quite some time, even though emails get migrated. So this is something that needs to be planned for. On the other side, you also see there will be a lot of help desk calls once the migration is in process, or once the migration is executed. So the help desk have to be equipped with the necessary skill so as to handle this surge. It might also mean that there might have to be extra resources deployed for the help desk to attend to these increased number of calls to the period of time wherein the organization is in a transition phase till it reaches a steady state. So till that period, you might see a surge in the number of calls that is coming to the help desk, like my features are not available here. So they have to be equipped with the information to attend to those calls. So on the other side, we also need to think about the coexistence, where where email should be available in both Domino and the new platform, so as to ensure there is a trouble-free and seamless transition, and users don't face any trouble or disruption during this migration phase. You know that applications are going to stay in Domino, so there will not be any problems in the functionality as such. But then, since emails will be migrated to the new platform, we should also ensure that email-related features and functionalities are not disturbed, or it is still working perfectly fine in the targeted platform. So that is why we need to have both the systems coexist with each other for some amount of time till we reach a steady state. And we also need to consider about this apps testing, because once the emails are migrated, we need to have a validation and verification done to ensure that the apps that are very critical would be working perfectly fine also in the new platform. So what you see on the right are some of the phases or some of the individual things that need to be considered in the apps testing. So there has to be an analysis phase, because an organization can have hundreds or thousands of applications. It may not be possible to immediately test all the 1,000 applications. So you need to bring it down to the number of applications that can actually be tested, so that you can give a go-ahead, okay, everything is working fine. At least the critical applications are working fine. So basic analysis needs to be done. And also there is an auditing phase, which you will see what needs to be exactly done in the auditing phase. And also the actual testing phase, wherein you test the Domino-specific features or the email features on the targeted mail platform. And by and large, things would work fine, but there will still be some things which are very node-specific that may not be available in the targeted platform. So we need to have a list of those items that won't be available, or it will be difficult to implement, and we should have a clear remediation plan for those things also, and the business user should be appropriately informed. Okay, so let's see what we will do with the analysis phase. As I said, it's very difficult, or it's very time consuming to individually go and see the hundreds and thousands of applications that are available in different servers. So we need to have some understanding on the current application landscape. So we need to have a portfolio analysis done to gather information about the different applications that are residing in different servers in the organization. And we should know about the usage, how critical it is, how it is being used, what is the load, what is the traffic that is coming to the application, and so on and so forth. So this application, the tools that are available in the market comes a great deal with this, like and there are some software provided by Cooper team called the Application Dashboard, and the Team Studio also has a product called Analyzer, which gives a complete overview of the different applications and their features and their usage, etc., and the details in different servers that are currently existing in the organization. Based on the usage, based on the business need, we have to identify the set of business critical apps that needs to be tested on a priority basis. It's still important to verify other applications, but at the next stage. So first thing, we need to concentrate on the critical apps that will majorly impact the business if they're not working perfectly fine. So identify those apps, and those apps will be the candidates for further testing and verification. So as we know, the apps will be accessed in different modes. There will be some client-only apps. There will be apps that will be accessed on both web and client, and there will be some web-based apps. So we need to have a strategy testing plan for these apps, like how it should be tested and so on. So now that we know, like finally at the end of the analysis phase, we will have a clear indication of which are the apps that will be tested on, that will be verified on a priority basis before we actually go ahead with the actual migration. So once we are clear on the applications that needs to be tested, we also need to understand what actually needs to be tested in those applications. Since we are choosing to continue with Domino for the applications, the application remains unchanged. So the app functionalities are going to remain the same, which means that we don't need to completely test the application, rather concentrate only on those features that you think will be affected as part of this email migration. So what we need to be concentrating on when validating these applications is like sending and receiving emails part, and calendar related functionalities, and some other things that is listed here, like document links, database links, because as node specific emails, they'll have a lot of document links, database links, and formatted content, and you will also find some buttons which are there in the email body which users can act on. These are the areas which you need to concentrate on while during the testing. Anything that has a link to the emails, anything that has linked to the calendar functionalities, anything that has got to do something that is embedded as part of the email, we should test in these applications. So this is what we need to concentrate on. So email that includes a send form, and as you know, that mail can be sent using both Lotus script and formula version, and some of the client specific features like open mail file, wherein you directly open the mail file on a client. These are some things which we need to concentrate on when we actually start testing. So there is a small figure which I have put in, which indicates like different mail related features that needs to be tested, which I've explained, like open mail file, send mail. So ls.send refers to a Lotus script send, whereas @mail send refers to the formula, and what if an email has a doc link, a database link, and so on. Now that we know what are the filters that we need to concentrate on, so we have, from the analysis, we know the list of apps that needs to be tested on a priority basis, and we also know what are the features that we need to be testing on these applications. The next thing is we need to know how to test these email related functionalities on the targeted applications, because the application cannot be tested on its entirety, which is a very time consuming process. So we should be able to pinpoint and say that this functionality is available in this design element, so that we can go ahead and test that design element to verify that functionality. So this is what I call the audit phase. So in the audit phase, what you do is you use the Team Studio Analyzer has a way of generating this output, wherein what we call as filter is just the email related features that has been listed in the previous slide, like LS send, a formula send, a doc with the email with the doc link, and email with the database link, etc. These are called filters. So Team Studio, we can use the Team Studio Analyzer, and it can be programmed to generate an output for these filters that we have just mentioned. So in the output would say with the output that is generated, we'll have a clear indication as to where that filter is actually present in that application. To the extent, for example, if you are talking about the filter which is email sending through a formula, then the generated output will have one document for each of the hits that is obtained for that filter. So if you go into that document, it will say what is the design element that is where this particular filter is appearing, so that we can just modify or devise some ways of actually testing the design element to make sure that that email functionality is working. So if you, I will show you a sample output. This Google Audit, this output will be actually in the form of an NSF, which will have documents pertaining to each and every filter hit that is appearing. So we can go into the filter hit to find out the exact place of the occurrence of the filter and actually go about testing it. So this is what is done in the audit phase. The audit phase will use the email filters that we are setting as the basis for generating the output, and these output will become indicators to the area in each app that needs to be tested upon. So if you can see here, this is a sample output. This is a view. I've just given the view from the database which gives the output. So you can see the documents there. So for each and every filter hit, it generates a document, and in that document it specifies which is a design element that is being affected, an agent or a script library, and the name of the design element also. So from this we can actually go ahead and start testing. So this is the second phase. So analysis is done. From the analysis, we will get the list of apps that needs to be tested, and we will also jot down the email specific features as filter hits that needs to be given to the analyzer so as to generate the output. Now the audit output will generate the filter hits, which will in turn give me pointers as to which design element in that application needs to be concentrated on during the testing. So now we can actually start with the testing process. What we need to have in place before we actually start the testing. So we need to have test mailbox accounts, meaning there has to be some test accounts that needs to be created in the target and new platform so that I can verify sending and receiving emails from that account. Also, there has to be test users in the notes address book who have mailboxes created in the new platform, so that in my application I can actually choose these test users and verify that there is no problem in sending or receiving mails to the new platform. As I always say, there has to be coexistence, so that we should verify that if we what is received on the notes Domino side, we are also able to receive the same on the new platform side. Can it be Google or a Microsoft Office 365, or whichever is the chosen platform. So the functionality that was supported in the Domino side should also be supported, and if at all there is any discrepancies, the user needs to be, it has to be documented, and the business user needs to be appropriately informed so that he will know what to expect when he's actually start using the application in the new platform. These are some of the prerequisites. How do we do this testing? So you can see the first step is we have to identify strategies for testing. By strategy, what I'm trying to make a point here is that there can be hundreds and thousands of applications. There can be at least few hundreds of applications. So it may not be possible to have a complete testing environment which is set with all these applications in place when we actually proceed with this step. So we have to think through, and we have to make a conscious decision of where we are going to test the applications. Whether it is going to be on a test environment which is completely isolated from the production environment, or whether we are going to test it directly on the production. Testing in the test environment is always recommended, but still it may not be possible to have the complete setup in place before we actually do. So we can also consider working directly in the production environment for testing, because we are not going to majorly touch the code or do any changes. So we are just going to verify. So we are just going to verify whether emails are sent and received, and only those kind of filter hits related to the email functionalities. So There will not be a problem if you can do the testing directly on the production, because you're going to select the test users during your testing and make sure that email is received on the other side. In some cases, you may have to do minor modifications in the code so that you can actually test by using these test accounts without actually changing much of the code. So you can make some test copies of the design element, because from the audit output we can be sure that which design element is where is the place that the corresponding filter hit is happening. So we can actually make some minor modification to a copy of the design element, carry out your testing, and once you find the testing is successful and the filter hit is giving the expected output, you can delete the design element. So this way you can quicken your testing process, because you will have to you'll have to cover a lot of applications within a limited span of time. So you need to see how fast or how quick we can give the output and how quick we can verify the applications and give the desired result. So these kind of with these kind of changes and with these kind of modifications, it is still okay to test in the production as long as we are not testing or we are not disrupting the normal flow. So creating a test environment is always preferred, but due to its time consuming, we can still adopt this strategy of working directly on the production by just making changes wherever required in whichever design element that is under test. So we will test each and every filter hit and each and every document that is generated in the audit output database for that particular application, and at the end of it we will record the passes of failures. So at the end of the testing phase, we should have a clear indication of what are the different applications that are tested and what is passing in each and every application and what is failing in each and every application. There may be some applications where whatever features that are concentrating on are already tested and everything is working fine. So those applications will not have any problems in the new platform also. There can be some applications where part of the functionality is working fine and part of the features are not completely supported or partially supported. Those are some things which we need to document. And finally, after documenting everything, we should take a collective decision on what are the failures and what is the plan that we have for the failures, or how the users will be informed and so on. So this is what we will actually be doing in the testing phase. So at the end of the testing, we will have a clear indication as to what are the functionalities that will normally work and what are the functionalities that will not work on the new platform. So next we will see what are the common passes on failure. By and large, things will work in the new platform also, because we are not touching the functionality, we are not changing it. So we are sure that functionalities will remain unaffected. It's only those places where emails are concerned, where there is some integration with the email, we need to verify. Most of the things also work with the emails, like a document link, a database link. If the application has a document or a database link embedded in the body of the email, those are still honored in the new platform. And if there is a simple send form with little bit of formatting, that is also supported in the new platform. Only if there is a form with a complex table and a complex formatting like an ordered list or a numbering that is there, that is where there is a slight change, because the content may be coming in the new emails, or either it can be Google or Microsoft. Only the formats suffer. So emails with simple send forms also work, and calendar functionalities will also work. You will be able to create calendar invites, respond to calendar invites, deny a meeting request, and so on and so forth. These are some of the common functionalities that will work in the new email also. But there are some failures. Open mail features. So features which are very specific to the Notes client, which are very specific to the Notes native Notes client, will not be available in the new platform. Because in the Notes applications, you can see a lot of this open mail functionality, which will directly open the mail file on the client. This may not be supported. And some buttons. So there will be some buttons embedded in the body of the email where the users can act on it. So these are the things. And these things won't also work properly in the, if you have some actions and some script or some Lotus script or formula written in the code, those also will not be available in the new platform. So we need to have some strategy in place of how we are going to address these. Similarly, if an email has a complex send form with different tables and ordered lists, that is also not going to be completely supported in the new platform. These are some of the common failures which we have experienced when we have actually tested the applications in the new environment. So then, sorry, the next step we will see, like, how do we plan for these failures? Because now we know that applications are working, mailing is working fine, but there are still some functionalities which are not going to be available. So there has to be a clear plan in place so that the users can be appropriately informed about what they can expect in the applications and what they cannot expect in the application when the emails are migrated to the cloud. So at the end of the testing, document whatever findings that is that you see, like what are the functionalities that are working and what are the functionalities that are breaking. So finally, make a list of all the functionalities that are breaking, and we need to identify workarounds. There may be some instances where we are able to get a workaround for a breaking feature. In that case, that what we call that is a remediation. We can remediate that breaking functionality using the workaround and make it working in the production and make it working in the application, and you can inform the user also accordingly. For example, take the example of an open mail file which as we all know will open a mail file on the client. This may not be directly supported, but we can still, if that feature is being used to compose a memo or compose an email by the user on the UI, we can still replace this open mail file, and we can replace the instances of occurrence of this open mail file with an URL link that will actually compose an email in the new platform. If it is in Gmail, we can compose a URL link which directly opens the email, which will open a draft email from the user's mailbox. So this is one workaround. And another workaround I can think of an example is, suppose an email has embedded buttons like a delete or a cancel. Cancel may be closing that window, and delete may be trying to delete the document. So this may not, we cannot directly remediate this, but we can still instruct the user to use the appropriate functionality that is already available in the new platform. So if they want to actually delete from the document, they can be instructed to use the trash or the recycle option that is already available in the Google or the Microsoft email. So these are what are called as workarounds. So we need to clearly document what are the failures and what is the workaround that we are trying to give for that failure, and whether that workaround will actually support the existing functionality or not. And there may be still some features which may not be possible to remediate immediately. For example, when users are selecting a list of emails by opening their mailbox, this may not be directly possible in the new platform. Of course, it requires some extensive analysis and coding. It may not be directly or immediately possible. So this can be documented as a failure, and which will say that it may not be possible to remediate at the present, so that the user will know when they are actually working with the application that this functionality will not be available in the new platform, and they will know that they have to find alternatives to have that same functionality in place. So this is what we have to do in the remediation phase. So document the list of failures, document what needs to be. Not all the failures needs remediation, because the user may not require that feature at all. It was there, so the users may not be using that feature. So before we actually proceed with the implementation part, it is better to get a concurrence of the users, whether that functionality is actually needed. If at all it is required, then we can design workarounds for that and accordingly implement that remediation in the Domino applications and roll it out to the users. So with this is what I have to say about what are the things that you need to concentrate on when you are choosing to stay with Domino for your applications. So you can migrate your emails and stay with Domino for apps. So as you know that it's very less expensive, it requires a very less implementation or rollout time, because you are trying to reduce a problem space. The problem space is very limited to only the email related features. Whereas if you're trying to migrate your applications to Google or other Microsoft related technologies, you're widening the problem space. So everything needs to be, everything is going to change, so each and every part of the application needs to be tested. So which means it will be a more expensive and it would need a lot of time and effort. So the data needs to be migrated separately and design needs to be migrated separately. You may not know that if design can be completely migrated with all of its features that is currently present, because complex workflows need extensive amount of development in the new platform. And security, which is the USP of Lotus Domino, also may not be also has to be carefully thought about when we are planning to migrate. So anyway, the final call is on the organization on what the strategies they have planned for, like whether they are planning to migrate or not to migrate. So now that we understand what are its pros and cons, we can weigh the options carefully and finally choose the best best method to migrate your applications. So based on the advantages that we see, it's preferable to always keep the applications in Domino and just migrate the emails. That's what we would suggest. So that's all I have for today. So if you have any questions, we can take that.
Okay, so if you do have some questions, if you do have any questions, please type them into the questions area of the poll. But I think as Lakshmi's been very thorough in kind of exploring this option of keeping everything in the Domino applications and what to do and what to test for.
Yeah.
It's very good, and as we've seen from the polls,
I hope the audience found it useful and they would be able to make an informed decision now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of companies, those attending, are in that dilemma. Well, do we keep them or not keep them? If we're being forced to migrate, of course, most of us are Domino professionals, so we want to stay in Domino. But if we're being forced, how do we handle that? And this has been very informative in giving them options.
So what I've given here is a tested and proven method, because we have actually done this kind of approach for one of our customers who migrated their email to Google Cloud and chose to have the applications, retain the applications in Domino, and we have tested this method and it found to be very successful. And they've actually migrated successfully to the Google with the apps continued on Domino.
Okay. Yeah, so we do have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So one of the questions is why do companies invest money to migrate email but stay with the Domino apps?
One thing is because when they are moved to the one advantage I think only is because the emails are moved to the cloud, so it's not on-premise. So that's the reason they plan to migrate the emails, and choosing to keep it in Domino because it's very cumbersome. If you try to migrate all the applications from out of Domino, it's a very cumbersome and tiring process. So that's what I feel.
Great. And have you had any experience with customers migrating applications? And if so, what are they choosing? SharePoint, Google Apps, or some other platform?
I have seen people migrating to Google Apps as a pilot exercise, but how far it was successful in actually rolling out, I don't have data on that. But I've seen them testing it out on a pilot phase.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, questions are coming in here, so I'm just reading through them. So I don't do sight reading here completely. All right. Wow. Questions are just rolling in now. So hold on one second here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a question. Has anyone moved to other email platforms such as 365 and are now coming back because the applications can't be migrated successfully or easily? Have you seen that happen in the marketplace?
Yeah, I've seen people migrating emails to Google, but not with applications.
Right.
No,
have you seen them moving back because then they couldn't?
Yeah, we have also got some requests, like one of the nationalized banks in India is Recently, a couple of days back, they have asked for a code to have Domino email rolled out to their enterprise. So I think vice versa is also still there.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think this migration can be save money in the long term? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I sight read this question. Do you think migrations can save money in the long term?
Long run.
So
It has to be. I think there has to be some. There will be some benefit that will be worked out. It's difficult to quantify because I'm not the IT manager, so I've not actually worked with the budgets and seen whether the migration has actually saved my budget or not. So I may not be in a right position to answer this question.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a couple other questions that people are asking here. I understand, these are questions that some of these questions should be directed to IBM. And then also, I think there's some education that needs to be put out there about IBM Smart Cloud, which offers, off-premise email and things like that. And I've had some experience with that as well. And I think IBM is now starting to push that a little harder. I think they're ready for it now. But yeah, I think a lot of people are hoping that the saving money with the email and moving to different platforms is the answer and saving some money, or maybe. But in terms of fast development, and the workflow, I'm not sure how they're really competing with the with Domino.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to determine the success. So unless we actually attempt it, we might end up with surprises. We might end up with failures too. Then we might have to revert back.
Yeah. I think what I'll do also here is I'll also reach out to some IBMers just to find out if they have some case studies or cases where we might be able to link it to the recording of this webinar, that if people have migrated away and now go, oh, wait a minute, but our apps aren't easily migrated, so we're going to go back. I think that will answer some of these questions. Some of these other questions about really if you can save or cannot save, because what we can do with one Domino server might take 3 or 4 other servers if you migrate your
that's where these utility and Xworks servers come in place, right? If you want to get rid of client licenses, we can web enable them, so X pages come in handy. So the client licenses are gotten rid of, and we only need to maintain the Domino servers, and in that case an Xworks or a utility server also. It depends on the kind of applications that is currently existing in the organization. If it's going to be a same template with different versions, maybe in that case a Xworks server can be chosen, or a utility server. I think it has unlimited license on applications. So those things can be worked out.
Yeah, perfect. And I know there's a lot of questions that a lot of people are bringing in here, and I think these are more questions for IBM. Lakshmi is talking about, hey, look, if you have migrated, here are things you need to be aware of to handle for your Domino application. So some of these higher level, is it going to save money? Things like that. We'll leave for a future discussion or possibly some, and that's something that maybe Market Systems could possibly put together, maybe a webinar at that level.
Yeah, exactly. So actually we had the plan was like to have both the perspective of mail and applications, but then we ended up we had so much of content for applications itself, and the mail migration itself is a separate topic that need to be dealt with. So that's a topic for the next webinar. It could be a separate webinar itself on how to migrate emails from Domino, and as I said, same times, quicker. Each has its equivalent, or if it's a traveler, then it has to be an Exchange Active Sync or something like that. So that's a topic for a separate webinar itself.
Exactly. And thank you to everyone for your questions, because I think these questions will help Market Systems actually formulate a follow-up webinar where we can maybe talk about these, get the right right data to support Hey, questions about, hey, do we have ROI if we try to migrate applications? What are the
Correct.
what happens if you do this? Those are the types of things. These are great questions. Don't get me wrong, but I think what we'll do is let Market Systems follow up with you individually on these questions and possibly try to involve IBM with you, or a follow-up webinar to address some of these questions, as we said.
Sure. So we'll be happy to have those questions, and we can target the answers, and we can see how that can be addressed.
Yep, and we have captured all of your questions, so they're not lost. Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for the webinar, and thank you everyone for attending. Just a reminder, there are a couple other webinars this week, so if you go out to the Notes Code website, you'll see the webinars that are listed for this week, and you can look at those. And we'll continue to do webinars and help promote our brand here in the Domino world. So, Lakshmi, do you have a slide of how to contact? Do you want to share that last slide, or is there? If not,
I have not put in my contact information. I'll probably
that's
send
fine.
it
It's just
email to you.
Yeah, it's margussystems.com. So very easy to remember.
The systems. So if you want, if I can just go to the bit.ly link so that they can just get the thing from there.
Yeah, perfect.
So this is the bit.ly link.
Yeah, just a reminder to everyone, we did record this, so it will be available. We'll get it translated and out on either in an email to you or a link back to a web page where you can watch the presentation and forward it on to others. And there's the infographic bit link as well. Okay. Thank you very much.
Scott.
You have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great day. We'll see you at Connections.
Okay. Thanks, everyone out there. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.